So what about motivation and emotion? How important is it for someone in social work to have an understanding of motivation?
In a lot of human service roles, that's really, really, really important, because if we don't have understandings about what blocks motivation, and if we don't understand what can actually invite more motivation, and if we don't have finesse around those things, we can be overly judgmental and make errors in terms of misunderstanding why somebody isn't doing better than they are. So I think it's very important.
Yeah. I think especially, as you say, working in welfare fields, unfortunately a lot of our clients get labelled as lazy or things like that, when in fact there's a lot of reasons why they don't have very
uncooperative, difficult, resistant, all those sorts of things. And so understanding, the sort of complexity around change and what motivates it. And having a really clear understanding of different ideas about change.
Yeah, so would you tap into some of those kind of psychological theories of motivation in your work, whether it's
like
Maslow or other sorts of things?
Well, and I think having a sort of basic understanding of the sort of pre-contemplative, the
stages.
Yeah, the stages of change, and having an understanding of the different assumptions behind, say, a psychodynamic idea of what brings about change and what motivates somebody is very different from a cognitive behavioural sort of standpoint. So you really need to know a bit about change and what prompts it, and not have simplistic understandings of that.
Yeah, because I imagine some of your clients would have kind of more intrinsic motivation to change and to come and have some therapy, but others perhaps more more
and
extrinsic.
particularly people who are really struggling in the world, socially and economically and so forth. I mean, it's very important to have an understanding that the benefits of change might not be very apparent.
Do you use any motivational interviewing techniques in your profession?
I don't directly, I wouldn't sort of ever be thinking, well, I'm going to do a motivational interview now. But, I mean, there's a lot that a therapist does to try and encourage change without demanding it. A lot of doing things, talking about things in a certain way that gives room for somebody to choose and make it more likely that they would choose to dare to do something different.
And talking about emotions, how does an understanding of people's emotions impact the way that you work with them?
Well, I mean, emotion is everything. And it's not everything, because there's also thinking and acting, but people's experience of the world is expressed through their emotional, their feelings and so forth. So it's really vital to understand that, and to understand things like primary and secondary emotions and how that kind of operates in relationships, and how emotions are also linked to physiological responses and trigger physiological responses too, the sort of interactive relationship between those.
So, and do you find that with some of your clients that emotional problems might be one of the main reasons they come in to see you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, yes, I've spent all my professional life doing emotional work with people. And thinking work about how to think differently and how to sort of handle one's emotions so that one's thoughts can become more constructive and instructive to oneself. But also that, yeah, people's emotions are really central to how they're experiencing the world, and we have to have a very sound understanding of that, and also a sound capacity to be a non-anxious presence around a lot of emotion and be able to contain it.
Yeah, for ourselves as therapists, yeah.
And also to contain it for others, like to not be, to be able to provide a safe, non-anxious kind of environment for somebody who's very distressed.
And you mentioned that you work with couples as well. Sometimes do you find that emotion is something that you talk about a lot with couples?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the most extreme place where people have, sort of yearnings and longings that are often expressed through accusations and disappointments. So it's very powerful work. Yeah. Quite scary sometimes.